vaya a haber una guerra contra los Estados Unidos de América y Rusia, es decir, que Rusia y Estados Unidos de América no estén envueltos en una guerra, pero sí que es verdad que llega el momento en el que al final hay que poner punto y aparte muchas veces a este tipo de conversaciones que no van a ningún sitio, ¿no? Eso es lo que dice Trump. Al final, él está luchando en una guerra, Zelensky está luchando en otra, bueno, en la misma, pero en la suya, y por lo tanto les voy a dejar que actúen por su cuenta, porque poco puedo hacer ya, ¿no? Decía Trump. Muy intenso, sobre todo muy intensa este debate televisivo que está llevando a cabo Donald Trump, porque también nos da, como no, muchas garantías de lo que realmente está pasando ahí, ¿no?
But they're people, they're souls, and they're dying by the thousands, worst since World War II. And we really should stop it. Better than anybody's ever.
How critical are you, Mr. President, that the sanctions that you're announcing today will push Putin to the?
Well, I don't know that they will. I think that they'll certainly have an impact. They're massive sanctions. It's sanctions on oil. The two biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil, and hopefully it'll push.
Ojo, porque ya ha dicho, ¿no? Son las dos empresas más grandes del mundo, que son rusas, que fabrican, bueno, que comercian con petróleo. Espero que les haga daño. Muy curioso esto, ¿eh? O sea, todo apunta, como estábamos comentando al principio del directo, que parece que estas sanciones, que bueno, que podemos llamarlas tal vez sanciones entrecomilladas, ya habían sido pactadas entre ellos por teléfono seguramente. Oye, voy a hacer ver que te pongo sanciones, no te van a afectar la verdad mucho, porque son las dos empresas más grandes petroleras de Rusia que, bueno, comercian con mucho petróleo. Lo que pasa es que yo tengo que hacer algo para que parezca que estoy en tu contra, ¿no? Esto no lo va a decir de manera oficial, evidente, Donald Trump, no lo va a decir, pero es curioso porque María Zakharova sí que entra en esa situación en la que dice, bueno, pues la verdad, esas sanciones no van a llegar a ningún sitio, ya lo ha dicho, van a fracasar, ya lo han comentado, fracasarán, y es decir, será peor para el globo, o sea, digámoslo así, la economía global no va a afectar a Rusia de forma directa. O sea que con esas sanciones al final, como dice Rusia, parece que nos pone sanciones a nosotros, pero afecta mucho más a países como por ejemplo Europa, ¿no? Ahora, hablando de gas, hablando de petróleo, llega invierno, necesitan evidentemente calentarse en invierno, y los que al final lo van a tener peor, hemos visto con el Nord Stream 2, con todos esos gasoductos que van desde Hungría hasta Rusia, realmente los afectados, los que están más afectados son los países europeos al final. O sea que las sanciones a Rusia al final son sanciones a Europa.
Hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. You know, it takes two to tango, as they say. And we're going to find out.
Le pone sanciones a Rusia para que Zelensky se dé cuenta.
They hate each other. These two people hate each other. You know that better than anybody. And it makes it more difficult than it should be. This should be easier to do. But the level of hatred between Zelensky and Putin is very substantial.
Could I add one thing?
Mark Rutte,
Could I add one thing? What the president is doing
el jefe de la OTAN.
today with these sanctions is putting more pressure, of course, on both parties, in this case on Russia. It's all about changing the calculus, making sure that Putin understands that the president's vision this weekend of having a ceasefire, stop where they are, as you literally said, that this has to be step one now. And for him to really accept that vision and to come to the table. And then you have to put pressure, and this is exactly what he did today.
Along with Europe. I mean, Europe, look, they've actually become friends of mine. I think yes. All of them.
Yeah.
Bueno, pues cuidado, porque Mark Rutte aquí no está diciendo que no al jalteo de Ucrania, ¿eh? O sea, como... a ver, aquí estamos viendo cositas, ¿no? Es decir, Mark Rutte dice, bueno, vamos a sancionar a Rusia, nos afectará a nosotros o no, ya se verá, eso es lo que dicen, pero bueno, lo que quieren es debilitar a Rusia y ver hasta qué punto esto puede continuar. Bueno, ya lo vemos en el Donbass, ya ha dicho Trump, ha hablado con Zelensky, oye, párate en el Donbass y vamos a ver cómo lo organizamos, pero Mark Rutte no ha dicho que no. Mark Rutte parece en esta conversación que está teniendo con Trump que está muy de acuerdo con que esto se lleve a cabo, curiosamente, ¿eh?
We have a very close relationship and they want to see it end too. They really want to see it end. But I can say they're totally committed. If this went on for 10 more years, Europe is behind them. They just can't let that happen.
Consistent from this president, when we first met again after your re-election in Mar-a-Lago in November, you said we have to stop the killing. This is close to your heart, and this is your vision. That's why this war needs to end. When it comes to Tomahawks, or whatever system. It's up to individual nations to decide whatever they want to supply to Ukraine. NATO doesn't take a position, but I can assure you this. When the president called me in July and said we want to again send weapons into Ukraine, paid for by our allies, the Canadians and the Europeans, that was an important moment. And that is now taking place, and the ambassador and myself, we're working hard at this. Already a couple of $1 billion of weaponry into Ukraine from the US, paid for by allies. So I'm not going to comment on about the Tomahawks, but when it comes to the US and all the support for Ukraine, it is there and it is close to the president's heart, and I know this.
I will say this, and you know, Mark can say it better than anybody. The European nations and Canada have really pulled together, and it's beyond even that. I mean, it's really beyond that.
I was with the Australians and New Zealanders, Japan. They all.
If you want to really add them up, we could really add them up. But NATO, basically, European and Canada, and a lot of other nations, they've really band together. They are not happy about what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. They're not happy at all. Neither am I.
Thank you, Mr. President. Liam Cosgrove with CRI. My question is actually for the Secretary General.
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, I don't know if you've seen this, but polling out of Ukraine shows a massive collapse in Ukrainian support for the war. A Gallup poll had it just 23%. That's less than a quarter. Zelensky came out today praising President Trump's proposal for freezing the front lines of battle as part of a ceasefire. He said that's a good compromise. So people view your coming here as, you know, you're lobbying the U.S. government to continue its involvement in the war. You're obviously lobbying for more NATO weapons to be sent to Ukraine, but Ukrainians themselves don't want to fight the war. So how do you justify that morally?
Well, I'm lobbying only for one thing, and that is to make sure that we end this war. And I don't have to lobby the president because we totally agree on this, and this is what he has been doing from day one. Everything he could do to break the deadlock with Putin.
Esto es súper interesante. Ahora vamos a seguir escuchando a Mark, pero claro, cuidado que no se les pille con el carrito de helado, como se suele decir, ¿no? Es decir, Zelensky ya dijo, o sea, bueno, esto lo ha dicho hace 24 horas menos, que bueno, que no le parece mala idea detenerse en el frente del Donbass. Ahora bien, muy interesante la pregunta del periodista, porque le dice, oye, si Zelensky quiere parar, ¿por qué tú le estás presionando a Trump para que le envíe más ayuda militar? No tiene sentido. Aquí, mucha atención, porque cualquier juego de palabras puede hacer que Mark Rutte se tambalee, cuidado con esto, y se pueda entender esa verdad oculta detrás de esta guerra, que al final es Europa, ¿no?, la que elige si Zelensky tira para adelante o no. O tal vez lo parece. Tal vez lo parece, ¿eh? Que Europa es la que decide si Zelensky se rinde o no. Ya lo dijo Putin, por cierto. Llegó a un acuerdo con Zelensky, justamente en el inicio de la guerra, en el 2022, cuando empieza la batalla en Kiev. Ya se rinde precisamente Kiev, o firma un pacto con los rusos, y dice, de acuerdo, vamos a firmar este documento en el que avala que nosotros nunca nos uniremos a la OTAN. Y fue en ese momento Boris Johnson cuando le dice, no, yo sé que tú has firmado, pero no debes hacerlo. En ese momento Zelensky, bueno, prefiere hacerle caso, entendiendo pues que Europa seguramente se uniría a esta batalla. Tal vez sea lo que pase dentro de poco, es decir, tal vez, y esto todo apunta a que será así, que Europa esté gastando sus últimos cartuchos. Bueno, ya se ha visto, ¿no?, con el tema de los drones en Polonia, ahora mismo movimientos militares también que están habiendo en Suecia. Hoy hemos hecho un documento brutal, ¿no?, donde analizábamos esos 150 aviones militares que van a ser transferidos de Suecia a Ucrania, y la pregunta es, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué, si la guerra en principio ahora mismo podría jaltearse en cualquier momento, dicho en palabras de Zelensky? Claro, esta es una duda razonable. Vamos a escucharlo.
Get a dialogue going, dialoguing also with Zelensky, and getting this war done. It's crucial. The fact that the US is now supplying weapons into Ukraine, paid for by allies, is extremely important. And that's now happening since 2-3 months. About $2 billion moving into Ukraine.
Hasn't wound down. Why do you think that'll wind it down now?
What do you mean?
Do you think more weapons will wind down the war?
No, I mean, there's more to be done. So what you need, what the president said this weekend, stop where you are, so basically do a ceasefire and then have all your discussions about territory and whatever. But first, stop the war. This is what you said on Friday and on Sunday.
It's a war. I mean, your question's really a fair one. It's a war that should have never started. And
it
you
has
know
to be ended.
how I feel about
And now
it.
it has
But
to
it's
be
a war
ended.
that should have never started. And we're not selling any weapons to Ukraine. We're selling them to NATO,
Yeah.
which is different from before. With Biden, he just gave $350 billion worth of weapons and cash right into Ukraine, and that was so foolish. But we sell them to NATO, and in theory, you can do what you want with them. It doesn't have to be Ukraine, but probably it is mostly.
Now, what nations are doing now is buying from this program and making sure that